Hi there, Sydney Brown here. Welcome back to the Memoir Mastermind, Writing and Publishing for Beginners. We are talking today about the magic of writing journals. Now, I don't mean writing in journals. I mean writing journals. So there's so many different ways you can write and journal write and write journal. I mean, it can be a little overwhelming because you're like, okay, now I'm writing about writing. Seriously? Yeah, kind of. But it's important that you do this because it just really is one of those things that help you stay, get your arms around what you're doing and your big goals. But just like a captain of a ship, they've got their logs. They've got how many miles they sailed, the weather, things like that. Their events at the sea. If you're exercising, you'll have your health, your measurements, and you're tracking all of those things. It's important that whatever your goal is, that you're doing this so you can track and monitor your progress. And that really is the main reason that you want to have a writing journal. So just think of it, kind of like your personal little writing coach. This is one of mine. I have a few things that I use actually, but it has, the insides you can take out, so you'll have empty, you can just keep refilling these, but you will over time really find that going back and reviewing them is a lifesaver, because you'll see where you started and the progress that you made, and you're like, wow. And also, I don't know if you do like iPad or on your phone or something, but I also have digital ones that I personally do all my idea tracking on there, just because they all interact with each other. My computer, my iPad, my even my watch, I can access everything through them. So it's really kind of cool in today's technology. But anyway, what we're going to talk about, and if you are part of the I Remember When memoir project, then you definitely came to the right place, because this is where I'm going to talk to you about getting your writing journal started and starting logging your progress. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about the I Remember When project, look in the description, because this is one of the programs that I have, and I have my students doing basically a personal memoir in a year's time. Now, they can do it faster than that, or they can do it, take that full year. It's not just about producing a book. It's really about, the self-reflection, the personal exercises, and yes, the writing. It's honing a craft. It's learning how to get better at something, feel better about yourself, and to get some closure as you go through the processes of doing this. Now, I'm not a therapist. I don't pretend to be one, but I have been a person who has screwed up a lot in my life, and I wish I had a mentor in my younger years. So I do what I can now to make sure that I'm a voice in someone's ear that whispers, you can do this for yourself. You're allowed to make these decisions for yourself. You deserve this. And so if you're in a place where you think you don't have time to do this, you don't know if you're going to be good enough, I'm going to tell you right now, you can do this. You deserve this. You should do this. You need to spend a year, whatever the time that you allocate is your decision. If it's 5 minutes a day, if it's, an hour a week, if it's an hour a day, if it's 5 hours a day, it's up to you. That's your decision. And this is your journey. At the end of this journey, you literally will have a book that you can hand down to your family members, or maybe publish. But you don't have to be a professional writer to share amazing stories. You don't have to worry about, I don't want to go through all of this education. I don't want to become a writer. I just wanted to share my stories. And if that's you, then you're absolutely in the right place as well, because you're going to enjoy your year. You're not going to feel pressured unless you do it to yourself. And I urge you not to beat yourself up for anything. But I do work with a full range of people, whether they are, maybe in their 60s or 70s and putting down their documented stories, their recipes, their memories, for generations to come, so that they can leave them something amazing. And that can be handed down generation after generation. Or if it's people who went through breast cancer, I went through that journey too. And when you see other people starting that journey and you made it through, there's something in you that just wants to help them, and you want to share your knowledge. And sometimes the people who need to have that knowledge shared, they don't know how to ask, but they want to be able to read something to fill themselves with that knowledge. So sometimes it's not easy for them to ask, but it is easy for them to grab a book. So if you have an overcomer story, then obviously this is something for you too. But I've totally gone sideways. I do want to really hone in right now. I want to assure you that if you're watching this video, your story matters. You need to do this for yourself and for those that you care about. So the writing journal is the first part, one of the very first things that you really want to make sure that you understand and that you kind of start engaging in. This is one of those things that while you're doing research and while you're learning other things, you can start integrating this early, or you can wait until the second month, something like that, and give yourself some time to not be overwhelmed. But the sooner you start your writing journal, the better, because literally it is an amazing thing to review early journals and see where you started, because it's very encouraging to go back and look at your earlier ideas and your earlier paragraphs and see just by practicing and just writing, pouring out, you get better. You're going to keep getting better. But so it really can. Your writing journal can be something as simple as just a notepad. You could do something, I call this fancy, but I wanted something very special to me that I would want to keep nearby, and wouldn't be afraid to have it sitting on a table and looking, pretty. But I just as often use my iPad or my phone to put notes into. So whatever you choose to use is absolutely fine. It's your choice. Everything is your choice as you do this. But let's go into the reasons for a writing journal. That's what we're going to start talking about, and then we're going to talk about 10 valuable tips to start and maintain, keeping that journal up and going. I am excited to take you through this journal journey, and I hope that you enjoy it as much as I do. I will be honest, at the beginning, it doesn't always feel natural, and it feels sometimes like, I don't know, what am I supposed to write? I really don't have anything that I want to write. Maybe I just wait until something inspires me. If you do that, you may never pick it up. So try, even if it's just for, literally just once a day, pick it up, put the pen in your hand and look at the paper and just force yourself to write 2 or 3 sentences. Whatever's in your head, it doesn't matter. If you do something like that, at least you've caused yourself to start building that self-discipline, and it'll start, manifesting itself. As you go through and you do get an idea, then you run for your journal and you write down your ideas. But stay with me. We're going to delve deeper into the topic, and we're going to enhance our lives, our writing lives, and our personal lives as we do this. So really hang in there. Make the effort to do this. Your writing journal matters, just like your story matters. All right, Sydney Brown back again. So now we're going to start with why a writing journal is essential. I've got 10 reasons, and I hope you follow along, and I hope some of this resonates with you. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and that you like the videos, and that you interact in the comments, if you will, because that interaction and you subscribing and watching the videos also helps me keep this content free on the channel. So I appreciate all of your support. So number one in why have a writing journal. Number one is reflection. A writing journal serves kind of like a mirror, reflecting your writing process now, and progress for that matter. But it helps you recognize your strengths, areas of improvement, things like that. As you go through, and I believe I mentioned this, you know, when you go back and you look at it and you see where you started to where you are today, whatever your today is at the time, it can be amazing. It really can, because then you find that you're totally remotivated. So sometimes if you're lacking motivation, go back and look through your writing journal. Number two, track progress. Having this journal will help you track your writing progress over time. It provides a sense of accomplishment. That's kind of what I was just saying. But you know, it makes you feel better about yourself. And it's not that you have poor confidence, but when you see something and you see the improvement, then there's no leaving that open to if you do have self-confidence issues. You know, a lot of the times life beats us down, and we really need to find the opportunities to feel better about ourselves. So going through something where you can see where you were and where you are now, that's something that can really be encouraging. Number three, and this is absolutely something that is your main thing at first, especially. It's an idea repository. So you want to be able to, every time an idea comes, go write it down, write it down, write it down. You may have a page of nothing but ideas and then a page of entries, like journal entries. However you set it up is going to be your personal preference. Some people are very organized and they want everything very meticulously organized. Some people will just like, you know, here's my journal entry, here's an idea, and if that chaos makes sense to them, then it's exactly as it should be. Now, I'm somewhere in the middle. I lean a little bit more toward organized. So I will have my ideas here, and then I'll have journal entries, and then I'll have you know, word count and different things like that. So we'll talk about that as well in the writing community, which is absolutely free for you to be in. So make sure that if you haven't already, that you join the Writers and Aspiring Writers free community. Oh, I'm sorry, it's on Facebook. But having an idea repository is absolutely vital, because once that creativity kind of like the walls go down and the ideas start to flow, you're just going to realize just at random times, oh my gosh, idea, 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 just constantly. And there's no way to keep up with all of it, and you will not remember it. So don't think that you will, because I've lost so many great ideas that I didn't write down. Because I didn't write them down, and I'm like, oh, it's such a great idea. Obviously, I'll remember that one. Man, I didn't, you know, then you spend all that time just beating yourself up because it was such a good idea. So number four, self-coaching. Doing these journals, it really is because you go back and review what you've done. It helps you understand and see the trends and, you know, what your writing habits are, any patterns, preferences. It lets you see it for yourself. And it's not someone else telling you, you know, you're info dumping or you're doing this or you're doing that. It's you seeing it, and it's self-coaching. It's a really good thing. Number five, experimentation. Now, what I mean by that is when you're journaling about writing. Now, you've got time to journal about your personal thoughts and your feelings and stuff like that over here in a different time, but this is journaling about your writing journey, your writing only. So in that, you want to, maybe just jot a paragraph down, maybe about, I wonder if I could do third person narrative, or something like that. Let me see if I could, maybe I've always done past tense, and I want to experiment with present tense, first person present tense. And when you're making those kind of switches, you really need to just be able to kind of play with it, and not feel pressured, and not necessarily do it like, boom, here, I'm changing it from this book to this book. I'm going to make this massive change in my mindset for writing. You will develop into being able to go back and forth easily. But at the beginning, most people will actually, go from sentence to sentence, or even within the same sentence, they'll get all the tenses confused. So you may just want to write a paragraph and then analyze, how often when you just casually write a paragraph, do you mess up your tenses? So it's one of those really great things to kind of experiment, get to know how you're doing it, be able to pinpoint what's wrong, and do your own self-fixing. Number 6, motivation. So when you go through and you review your journal entries, it really does, and it, for me at least, and I most of the people that I've talked to have said similar things. It boosts their motivation. It reignites, a spark. It gets you revved up again. You literally can see the ideas you had, like a week ago or a month ago or a year ago, whatever it is. And you're like, oh my gosh, I never did anything with that idea. And then boom, you're just on fire, ready to go get that going. So always go back and review. Number 7, overcoming writer's block. Now, writer's block is one of those things. I think the term is overused. I think that sometimes it's lack of focus. It's just lack of direction, period. But when you have a writing journal and you're logging your word count or your chapter count or your, whatever you're doing at the time, just log it in whatever way that makes sense to you. A lot of people will do the word count, or they'll, if it's poetry you're doing or whatever, just track it however you want to. But when you do that, just getting your mind into the world of writing will then allow the walls and your, that pressure we put on ourselves to perform, it will allow the walls to go down a little bit. And then you'll just be like, oh gosh, yeah, I could do that. I can do that. It really does help. And number 8, memory aid. Having your journal will help you remember important details, character development, plot ideas, storylines. Those are really important, because I find that, and this is more in fiction than memoirs necessarily, but it will also carry over. But if you've got an idea and your character, let's say it's a memoir and you're the character, and you've got, a significant other in your story, you need to develop their character, which may not mean a lot to you yet, but it will, because the reader doesn't know you yet, and the reader doesn't know your significant other yet. And so you have to develop the character of yourself and your significant other as you tell the story. And you don't want to just info dump, this is who I am, this is who they are, and this is what happened, because that's not, showing a story to your reader. That's just basically writing a book report, and that's not what people want to read. So as you tell your story, just pour it out of you however you want. But then when you go into it, and you develop the characters, basically what you're doing is telling just a little bit more about yourself and about your significant other in this case. then your reader is like, oh, okay, so that person bites their nails. Okay, so the protagonist, you, this person is afraid of failing, whatever it is. It's a great way to develop character. But if you just do it in your head, you it's just not going to be successful. It just isn't. You must write it down, and your journal, your writing journal, is exactly the place to do stuff like that. And then as you go back and review it again, you can say, okay, yeah, I already told about this character trait, and then I can later tell about this. And you're just building your characters as you go through. Number 9, self-expression. So self-expression, obviously we know what that means in itself, but when you're in your writing journal, this is your personal place. This is where you can tell, it's just like a diary, but it's for writing specifically. But it's where you're going to be able to, be introspective and just kind of reflect on your progress as writing and what you want to write. Anything that comes out of your mind, your heart, your spirit, that has to do with writing, just drop it into your journal, and it allows you that self-expression. And then finally, number 10, discipline. Regular journaling, and I'm going to, through the course of this, we're going to have, your writing time for your memoir. Your first months, you're probably going to be going into a lot of therapeutic journaling and just reflective journaling and writing your memories, just pouring it all out. We're going to go through a lot of different exercises, but in doing that, it's much less structured. It's just enjoying it. It's not about pressure. It's just about, putting closure to some things. And as you go through that, you're going to have a few different things that you're journaling in. And that's okay, because it helps you keep them organized and separate. And then having that discipline of 1, 2, 3 different things that you can write in, it will encourage overall self-discipline. Now, if you're already a super self-disciplined person, you may not even be fazed by this. If you're not yet, if you're kind of like squirrel, I'm somewhere in the middle, as you can probably tell by now. But if you're squirrely, then you're going to potentially feel like there's a lot of rules here. And I don't want you to feel that, but I do want you to know that, yes, while I'm giving you guidelines and rules, you don't have to follow them. And I'm not the memoir police. So as you go through things, you're the only one that you're going to have to answer to. You really are. So setting yourself up for self-discipline will help you succeed. And I hope that you come through this with flying colors. But wherever you land is exactly where you should have. So don't beat yourself up. Don't stress over it. Let it be a thing that you enjoy. But having this writing journal is something that you will want to have, even if you never do journal entries or character development or any of the other things we just talked about, even if it's just to keep, a piece of paper ready for all the ideas that you come up with, because that in itself is enough to make it worth it. All right, let's move on. And I hope that you will comment below and let me know what you liked the best or what questions you have. All right, Sydney Brown back again. We are talking this time about the top 10 tips for starting and maintaining a writing journal. Now, if you are following along, please do make sure that you've subscribed. We have a ton of videos about personal memoirs, about writing as a whole, and then also the business side of publishing and getting your book ready, different things like that. So Please subscribe, like the videos, and let me know in the comments what questions you have, what you like the best. And, if there's anything else that you would like to see in a video form. I am loving doing this. I hope that it is helpful, and right on into it. The top 10 tips for starting and maintaining a writing journal. Number 1, choose your medium. So by that, I just mean it doesn't matter what format it is. In today's technology, we have the ability to do something on a computer that is going to be accessible through a laptop or an iPad or a phone or even your watch. If you have an electronic, like Google Drive or something like that, if you have access to those, which most people do, then you're going to be able to be tech friendly and use that as your medium. But never underestimate the value of having just a nice little book, a binder that, let me find a blank page, when you go into this and you're able to just kind of pour your heart into things, and it just feels different. So depending on what you're looking for, whatever medium you choose is up to you. Now you can use just a regular notebook, or even one of those tiny little notepads, the little spiral ones. Whatever it is, keep it handy. That's the most important thing. Make sure you have access to it and that you use it. So number 2, make it a habit. The best thing that I can say about having any sort of a journal or any writing exercise is that you make it a habit, because it's not going to feel necessarily natural at first. It's something new. So it's something you have to kind of push yourself to create that structure. And then after just a little while, they say 21 days to a habit. It can be less than that, because especially at first, if you're excited about it, you can't wait to get there. But then there's going to be that time where somewhere along the line, you're going to go from, oh, I can't wait to go do my writing time. And then it's going to be like, I don't know, I'm too busy today. I'm going to skip today because I don't even have anything in my head. And then you'll realize a week later, I haven't touched it in a week, and now I don't know if I can go back. I'm behind schedule. I don't know why I did this. And you're going to set yourself up for failure if you don't kind of create that structure and give yourself some scheduled time from the very beginning. Because when you choose not to use your scheduled time, you're making a very clear choice, and it at least triggers you to be aware of, yes, I chose to do this instead today, but I'll be back to it tomorrow because I have the same time tomorrow. Where if it's not in a scheduled time, you might just let it keep, I'm not going to find time for it today. It's not that big a deal. I've done that with walking, because there's been times where unless I literally make a time and I'm like, okay, I don't feel like doing this, but I'm going to do it. When you say that to yourself, and then you get into whatever it is that you really don't know if you want to do, once you get started, it gets easier. So just make it a habit, start it, and then stick with it. Number 3, and we're talking about tips for starting and maintaining a writing journal. So number 3, keep it private. And the reason that I say that is I want you to know that every word you write is not going to be seen by anybody but you, unless you choose to share it with somebody else. There's something about that freedom. Sometimes when people have a diary or they keep a journal, they are always, they think that they're writing it to themselves, but you never know, because there's stories about people who read their diary, or got into their journals. And if you do that, sometimes even subconsciously, you may write something that someone else might read later. And at that point, you're storytelling, you're buffering and filtering for what someone else might see one day. So let's just make the assumption nobody wants to read what you have there. You're just writing about writing, and this isn't your necessarily your innermost secrets, but you may have some really vulnerable moments there where you're, if you allow yourself to, you're able to make some breakthroughs and really make some forward progress on your writing. So go with the intention that this is a private document. It's your private space, it's your safe space, and just allow yourself to be 100% honest with yourself. That's all you need to do. Number 4, don't stress about the grammar. You know, this isn't where you're writing. This is where you're, I mean, and trust me, I love to write, and I publish my own books and I publish for other people. But when I'm in a journal or a notepad, I don't even want to show you. But I literally, I don't have complete sentences. I have thoughts. It's kind of like my SID shorthand or something, because I know when I go back and read it what I mean, but I don't have periods. I don't capitalize, you know, and whether I'm typing or writing in a book, it doesn't matter. I'm just pouring into and dumping out of me and putting it into something else that I can go back to later and you know, develop and kind of reflect later. Don't stress about grammar at this point. This isn't where your writing quality needs to matter. So don't even think about that. Number 5, write freely. You know, whatever comes to your mind, write it down. If it doesn't make any sense, it doesn't matter. You have the space on your paper or on your computer screen, it doesn't matter. Whatever comes to your mind, dump it out. Dump. And I genuinely believe that when you do that, the things, because you'll be like, why in the world am I even writing this? This is gonna hurt my wrist, you know, from typing or writing. You know, why am I bothering to write this? Because that just sounds like total garbage. And then somehow or another, it's amazing how our minds work. This will trigger that, that'll trigger that then, you know, maybe 3 or 4 sentences or pages later, you'll be like, oh my gosh, that's brilliant. And you would have never gotten to that brilliant moment if you didn't allow yourself to type this really stupid sentence right here that you didn't know what in the world you were thinking. So write freely. Don't judge yourself. No one's going to judge you. This is the point of your writing journal. Just pour. Number 6, include everything. You know, write your ideas, your challenges, what you're going through, your achievements, simply about your day. Whatever you need to get something going, just pour out. And like I said, you will be amazed at how this triggers this, that triggers that, and you're just like, wow. And then when you're done, you feel great. You just feel, I don't want to say that every day, because I don't want to set that as a high goal for you. But there are times when you close your journal or you walk away from your computer screen and you're just like, I'm so excited. I can't wait to find more time, because that's really most of our problem. We get the ideas and then we have to find more time to do more writing. But you get so excited because you're like, wow, that was really productive. But don't hold yourself back. Don't say, you know, I'm only journaling ideas and hit word count here. I'm only journaling or tracking this. Don't set your rules so stringent that you miss the ability to track something else that you didn't even know you wanted to track yet. So include everything. Number 7, try different techniques. Now, this is kind of what I was talking about a little bit earlier. Say you realize that when you type or when you write something, you are talking about, when you're talking about yourself, you know, you might say, let's say a character's name is Sam. I might say, Sam looked around the room and wiped a tear away as she recalled all of the memories from living in this house. That's just something that I might, and if I were writing about Sam, like I was Sam, I'm writing in third person and past tense. Now, in doing that, let's say I want to write in my, because that may be what I'm more comfortable with, but in my personal memoir, I want to say me, and I want to let my reader feel engaged in it as if they're going through the journey with me. So I want to change my tense to first person present tense. So then I'm going to start saying, so let's say I'm Sam. I would say, as I gazed from corner to corner, recalling each memory, I wipe a tear from my eye. So you could then look at your first paragraph and your second paragraph and kind of analyze the differences of what you have to make to change your POV and your tense. So doing that in your writing journal or on your writing journal, files, if you're doing it on a computer, which is where I honestly do most of mine, doing that just as a practice, that you don't have to have the pressure of it being, this is for something that I'm delivering. It's just, I'm just playing around and putzing around with it. But using those different techniques really is the best way to use your time as in your writing journals. Number 8, review regularly, because here's the thing. If you write and then never go back and review, did it really happen? This is kind of like the tree falling in the woods. Did it really happen if no one's there to hear it? If you don't go back and reflect and reread and feel again, the pride of what you've done and what you've accomplished, then I don't want to say you may as well not have done it, but you're not fully maximizing your benefits. So do go back and review regularly. Set aside time, whether it's, once a month or whatever, and just kind of flip through. Some people will randomly go through and just open to a previous page, take a look at it, and then, reread, and then go into their regular daily process. Number 9, keep it accessible. Truly, if you are going to be journaling this stuff, I love the fact that we have like Google Drive and stuff, because I can put one document on the drive and it doesn't matter where I am, I have access to it. So if I'm out having dinner with my son and he's looking in his phone and I'm sitting at a dinner table, I will go ahead and open my iPad and do the same thing. Now, it's not the best use of family time. I'm not suggesting that, but if you find you have time and you're out and about, absolutely find your best access. But then of course you also have just keeping this handy. That's why I have a prettier one than just a regular notepad, because I keep it out. I want it out at all times. I want to be able to, at any point, just grab it. But I have, not right here, but I have literally probably 3 or 4 other notebooks that I just write ideas down, that they're kind of scattered around in case I don't have my phone. If I don't have something else, there's always something that I have access to. And then finally, number 10, be consistent. Whether it's self-discipline or perseverance, these are usually the things that I put on my number 10, because all of these 1 through 9s are great. But if you're not whatever I tell you on number 10, then you may not maximize the benefit. So that consistency of every day, or if you're doing it 3 times a week or even once a week, whatever you allow yourself, be consistent with it. Set some self-discipline, set some guidelines for yourself, and do that so that even on the days when you're not writing, or maybe you just don't feel it, because I love writing. I do it all the time, But there are days that I'm like, ugh, I just don't. I don't want to. But I'll be like, okay, let me get up out of bed or get up from, come home from work or whatever. I sit myself down and I put time in, because it really, for me, and I think that it would happen for you too, I find that it kind of helps de-stress me from the other things that are cluttering my mind, and it brings me pleasure, to know that I've been productive, that I've taken another step toward my goal. And that's the main thing, isn't it? Because if you're here, you're doing this because you have a goal, and you will never hit your finish line if you don't take those little steps. Now, you can be like, I want to take 10 big steps and just be done with it. And that's fine. If that's your personality, if that's how you do things and you have that time, then that's absolutely fine. Most of us don't have a lot of time, and most of us need to set the habits and create some accountability to ourselves. So be consistent, get in there, make it a habit, do this, because you will, little by little, get closer and closer until you hit your finish line. I do appreciate your time today. I appreciate you sticking with me. Don't forget, like, comment. I really do appreciate, and I truly will drop in and respond to your comments. I appreciate your time, and let's move on.